Bum, 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 bum. All right, guys, welcome to the 35th Ask Me Anything live stream. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about my general philosophy on life, also talk about gratitude in general, and some of these ideas that have really helped improve me as a person. So, if you're watching the replay of this and you missed the live broadcast of the stream. I usually stream twice a month, every other Saturday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. And if you want to catch the next live stream, make sure you subscribe. And if you hit that bell notification button, it will give you a notification when I do go live for these type of streams. And we're at 35, which is still super wild for me, as this is again something that I remind myself to be grateful for. Is this live stream, it was never something that I intended to do, and it just was an idea that I had, and I was like, okay, let's just try it. And I ended up enjoying it and really liking it. And so I am grateful to my younger self who had the courage to try something as scary as live streaming, right? And for anyone that makes YouTube videos that's watching this, you know that, whenever you make a mistake or you screw up your sentence, or maybe you slur your words, or you don't get your idea across in a way that sounds intelligent, or in a way that makes sense, you can always just edit it out, right? In Adobe or Final Cut Pro or DaVinci or whatever editing software you use. And what I've learned is that I've always used that as a crutch, sort of, where I knew in my mind that if I made a mistake, I could always double back and fix it, right? And so there's a certain level of carelessness I had in my ability to speak and convey ideas where I got kind of lazy. And I really noticed this as when I was making YouTube videos and I started trying podcasting and live streaming. And I was like, oh man, I rely too much on my video editing software. So this was something that I needed to work on and improve, right? In as a content creator. And I think this is something that's very important to me, because I don't want to get complacent, right? Actually, well, let me change this music. There's some Christmas music just playing. Let me see. Whoops. I usually like to play some classical piano. That better? Yeah, there we go. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, so getting back to just doing things that are difficult. I think this is a philosophy that I apply to my life on a day-to-day basis. Because in the past, before all this self-improvement stuff, I used to be someone that kind of just existed, or that's the way that I felt. I was just going through the motions of life. It was just like, waking up, going about my day, not really thinking about the future or caring about what I was doing or even trying to better myself. Like there was no like thought process. There was no like self-realization or self-reflection at all. I was just being. I was just existing. And so when you live your life in this way and you never review your actions and you never review what you're doing, you end up just being stagnant, and you're just complacent, right? And now that's fine, right? If that's how you want to live your life, that's perfectly fine. But if you're like me, who always wanted more, right? I was always striving for more. I always wanted to do better. I was very ambitious. Settling and remaining complacent, it's basically death, right? If you want to better yourself, then you have to do things that make you uncomfortable. And I know this sounds like simple, like it's common sense, right? When I say that, most people are like, well, duh, right? But actually applying that to your life, right? Ingraining that philosophy in your identity it's so hard to do when push comes to shove. And it's something that I have to remind myself on a daily basis. Like, it's not like you come up with these ideas, you accept them for what they are, and then all of a sudden they become automatic. Like these habits, you have to work on them, right? Like even myself, someone who's obsessed with self-development, someone who's obsessed with improving and becoming a better person, I have to remind myself every day to not get complacent, to not get lazy, and to get back on the horse and keep grinding, right? And that's what this is, right? There is no moment in time where you figure everything out. You know, it just doesn't exist. But there are moments where you do, you are more motivated than others, right? Hey, Mountain Pepsi, what's up, dude? How you doing, man? Thanks for stopping by. How you been? How's life in, hold on, Mountain Pepsi. Germany? Is it Germany? I try to remember where you guys are from when you come to the stream. My bad if I get it wrong. Yeah, so hopefully we can kind of break down some interesting ideas today. And this whole like streaming stuff, in some ways it's therapeutic for me, for my mental health, because I have all these ideas in my mind, like all the time. I'm always thinking, I'm always pondering things, I'm always, you know, looking for what's next, right? But if you never take those ideas and combine them with action and try to do something with them, then they just remain ideas in your mind and they dissipate into nothing, right? So especially during these live streams, when I have these moments where I'm kind of forced to convey my ideas to no one, right, or even to just myself, it forces me to take the ideas that I've thought about and almost make them tangible, to put them out there into the world and explore them. And this is super beneficial for me. In a way, this is kind of selfish, right? Like, I know when you stream, people are always thinking about the audience, right? You always want to make good content for your viewers or subscribers. But at the same time, it's like, you know, there's something beneficial for me in these talks as well, right? I get to think deeply about things, and it's forced, right? This is what I love. It's like this streaming thing, it forces me to act, and there's no way I can back down or back out, because these streams go for like, you know, I try for 2 hours usually, from 12 to 2. That's my like general goal, or like my aim is to go for 2 hours, because then we can get really deep in the weeds into some subjects. But yeah, it's not one that I take lightly. I'm good. I'm trying to get out of a rut at the moment. Yes, it was Germany. Oh, you're stuck in a rut, bro? Are you spinning your wheels in mud? What type of a rut? Like a motivation, discipline? That's like an interesting concept. I watched a video once. I think his name is Better Ideas, that guy Joey, on how to get out of a rut. Has a ton of views, I think. Very interesting, because I feel like this is something that everyone goes through, right? Getting stuck in a rut. Because I have these days as well. Like, even though I love all this content creation stuff, like I love making videos, I love doing podcasts and streaming, I love all this stuff, right? But there's still days where I don't want to do it, or I don't want to turn on the camera. I don't want to sit at my computer and write. I don't want to hit the workout. You know, I don't want to edit the videos. Like, I have those days too, right? And this is coming from a place where, you know, this is something that I love to do. Like, it's Saturday right now. You know, most people are probably going out, going to the mall, or shopping, or playing video games, spending time with their friends. And I like to just sit down and talk about philosophy, right? Work on myself, talk about mental health, consider ideas in the self-improvement world, right? And so, like, my passion for this type of content, it's genuine. right? Like this is something that I love to do, but I still have those days where I'm stuck, where I feel like I'm stuck in a rut, right? I have those days too, all the time. And the interesting thing is, if you let that rut prolong, I feel like it's becomes more and more difficult to get out of it. And I've really noticed this with things like meditation, for example. Like I'll go through these streaks where I'll go weeks at a time where I meditate for 5 minutes every single morning. Like bam, 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 bam. Like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, like the weekend, like just every day, like in this consistent groove, this like optimal morning routine where I'm getting my session in every single day. But then all of a sudden, the wheels fall off and I miss a day. And then I miss a second day. And then before you know it, a week has gone by, a month, 2 months. And it gets so hard to get back on the horse because of that resistance, right? And so whenever I think about like being stuck in a rut, I always think about it as you need to try to overcome that resistance as soon as possible and build back up that momentum. Because once you have momentum, everything is easy, right? It's just like, every day you, I don't know, brush your teeth or tie your shoes or get dressed. Like it's something you do on a daily basis and you just almost do it automatically. Like you don't even have to think about it. And that's where I try to get with all these habits. Like when I have to go take a shower, like it's going to be cold. Like I don't even think about it. I just turn the handle to blue. It's not like, okay, so today I have to take a shower. Maybe I'll take a cold shower today. Like there's none of that. There's no thinking. There's no deliberation. It's just action that's automatic. And so I think that's what really helps me get out of a rut, is break that initial barrier of resistance and build the momentum again for whatever habit you're trying to ingrain in your life. More of a I feel sick and now I play video games all day and eat fast food kind of rut. Oh, okay, so that's kind of different. Like if you're sick, like if you're feeling like shit, like that's different. Because if you're sick, like you can't really do much, right? You probably feel terrible. Maybe you're all stuffy, you're like low energy, you feel lethargic, like okay, that's a bit different. But the fast food part, you could hopefully get that out of the rut. Maybe, if you're sick and you're playing video games, that's fine. Maybe, but try to eat some healthy food with that. Yeah, the fast food one is, but unless it's like what if you're sick, but you have no energy to cook your food? Then what do? Are you ordering like fast food because it's easy, because you're kind of too sick to make anything? If that's the case, then maybe order some healthy food. I don't know. But yeah, hope you feel better, bro. And you know what? Even like every once in a while, if take a day off or two, play some video games. It's not the end of the world. Like even though I'm someone who's strictly against video games because of my obsessive compulsive personality, like I just try to avoid them altogether. But I also think that if it's something you enjoy, just every once in a while as like a break or a treat to yourself, I think that's good too, right? Yo, Swen, what's up? How you doing, Swen? I saw you posted a couple of videos. Didn't have time to watch them though. I like your thumbnails. You are a person that seems to never get angry. You are always calm. Do you know how to control it, or are you genuinely never feeling boiling point anger? So this is kind of an interesting question. So you're actually correct. I rarely, if ever, get angry. And I think that comes from a place where I honestly dislike physical confrontation. It's something that I know far too well to be dangerous. And I know this because, as a young boy growing up, I was someone who was always physically active. I was always playing sports. I was always going out riding bikes and doing like physical things with my friends, right? And when you're like that as a child, far too often I've seen like injuries, right? Or I've seen like fights on the basketball court, fights on the football field. And as a child, I really, really didn't like that. I really didn't like physical altercations with other people. I love to just be happy, and be friendly with people. Like, don't get me wrong, I am super competitive at my core. Like, if we're playing a game of basketball with my friends, I will try so hard to win. I'm super, super competitive. But I'm competitive not to a point where I take it to the next level of anger or physical confrontation. And I think a huge part of that is sort of like your personality, right? Like when I was a kid, I was extremely introverted and shy, right? And so in some sense, I was kind of scared to interact with other people. And confrontation was something that I shied away from. But then as I got older, I sort of realized more and more that, anger is such a useless feeling. Like it doesn't benefit you in any way, right? Like whenever in the past, whenever I got angry or upset, or I get like you said, reach that boiling point, my decision making was always clouded, and I always made terrible decisions. And I always wanted to be someone that was smart. Like in my later teen years, I always wanted to be, viewed as a guy who was smart, who was intelligent, who made good decisions. Like, some guys, they want to be like, they want to be the alpha, they want to be the strongest, they want to be the most buff, they want to be a leader, they want to be charismatic. Like some people, that's what they want to achieve in life, or that's what they want other people to view them as. But for me, when I was growing up, I wanted to be viewed as someone who was intellectually responsible, who made good decisions, someone that was reliable, and someone that was intelligent. And that conflicts with my decision making when I was angry. And so I think it's like a combination of those two things, right? Wanting to be someone who is intellectually responsible combined with my introverted personality growing up. Anger is something that I've always been able to control, right? And I've always learned, like, when you do reach that boiling point and you just want to like kill someone, I always just walk away, right? I just try to walk away. And I really learned a lot of this, surprisingly, from listening to Joe Rogan, the Joe Rogan's podcast, because he always stresses this idea of how dangerous physical altercations and fighting is. Like he always talks about like guys getting into street fights and then someone getting knocked out and then bouncing their head off concrete. Like he always talks about the dangers of physical confrontations. And a lot of that stems from when people lose control of their temper, right? Like how many street fights or bar fights are caused because someone can't control their emotions? Like that's what this usually comes from, right? And so, and I'm someone that's been listening to his podcast since like 2012, so like 10 years of listening to listening to the Joe Rogan Experience. So naturally, some of his thoughts about fighting and MMA are going to rub off on me, right? So yeah, I think it's like a combination of things, Swen. It's just like a combination. There are times where I wish I got a little more angry, right? Because maybe, there's some times when, being civil and calm makes it appear like you don't care, right? And that's not good as well. But I think genuinely, nothing good comes out of rage, right? Like nothing good. It's an impairment to my decision making. Like when I'm angry or when I'm pissed off, I can't make good decisions. I don't have a clear level mind, right? It's just impossible. Your ability to think is just clouded by anger, and that impairs your judgment. And for me, making good decisions, being a smart, caring human being, being someone, who's reliable, right? Who's reliable, who's intellectually capable of, again, making good decisions. Like this is important to me. And I can't let anger, ruin that. So it's an interesting question because I never really thought about it that much. Because you know how you always have friends that they lose their shit like over like the tiniest thing. Like I'm sure we all have people in our lives that are like that, who just have very aggressive type of emotional reactions to things. And what's interesting about that is my brother is kind of like that. Like when I was growing up, I have a younger brother. Our age difference is 3 years. And as kids, he was like a hothead. Like he had a short fuse. Like he would get extremely angry over like the most minor detail. And it's funny because our personalities contrast so much. Like we're so different in every way. Not just personality, but like the way we look as well. It's very interesting. But yeah, that's maybe that's part of, because maybe that's more nature rather than nurture. Because me and my brother, we were both nurtured in the same way. We had great parents that were very supportive for both of us, but we developed two completely different personalities in the same household. So again, it's like, is it nature or is it nurture? And maybe nature is a huge part of your ability to control your emotions. And that's just like the hand you're dealt at birth. That is interesting. I get really pissed when someone steals my time. Gonna buy a punching bag for my new gym and use that anger for learning martial arts. Transport that energy emotion into something. Wow, that's awesome, dude. That's really cool. You're gonna buy a punching bag. I get what you mean. I get really pissed when someone steals my time. Yeah, that kind of bothers me too. Like steals your time, like your friend or family wanting to do something and ends up taking the whole day. Like that drives me crazy. You know, when someone will be like, hey, you know, like you want to go chill or go do this or go to the store and buy something or like have lunch, and all of a sudden like lunch turns into a conversation, which turns into a movie or a video game, and then before you know it, like the whole day is done, and you're just like, oh. Yeah, time is a tough one too, because like I know it's like a super cliche thing to say, like time is our most valuable resource, right? But it's true. You know, your time is so valuable because you could be using that time to better your life, right? Or helping other people or supporting your family. Like there's so many things you can do if you manage your time properly. And again, this kind of ties back into being disciplined and having good decision making, right? Like avoiding things like scrolling on TikTok, for example, or Instagram. Like that's a horrible use of your time. It's this like incessant need to flick your thumb up and just scroll through shorts. Just scroll. You know, that when I do that, that really pisses me off because then I'm wasting my own time. I think that's when I get the most angry, is at myself. I have a really vicious self-hatred for poor decisions that I make. I don't know if that's a healthy way to live, but whenever I just, you know, randomly stumble upon Instagram or I open up the app, you know, to go into a conversation or to look at a DM, and then all of a sudden I find myself scrolling through Instagram Reels, and 45 minutes goes by and I've just been sitting there scrolling. I get enraged, right? Because that was a deliberate waste of my own time that I made. That was a decision that I made, right? And that really infuriates me. I think that's where I get the most angry. It's not from external factors, it's not really from other people, but it's more internal. Like when I know that I did something dumb, or I know that I made like a really poor decision. I think that's what really kills me. And that's probably what upsets me the most. But yeah, +1 to buying a punching bag for your gym. That's super cool. Martial arts is a great discipline to learn as well. I've always wanted to sign up for like jujitsu or Muay Thai or some type of martial art, just to not just to learn like self-defense, but like also like learning self-defense, being physically active, and learning like that discipline, right? The importance, of being able to control your emotions, right? And to be able to de-escalate a physical confrontation. And also, I think that's super important. It's just, again, and this ties back into time. It's tough, man. Like to try to find time for all these things that you want to do in life, right? Like this is why I don't understand when people say they're bored. Like it drives me crazy when people say they're so bored. Like, oh, I'm so bored, didn't do anything this weekend. I'm like, what do you mean you're bored? You're bored? Like there's so many things you could do. Like in my free time, like I do the YouTube channel, podcast, live stream, newsletter, just making content in general, right? But I wish I had more time to learn jujitsu or buy a piano and start playing music again, right? Or go out and run a marathon or learn a language, right? Like there's so many things I wish I could do and learn. But it's like you only got, 16 hours roughly in a day, and you have to manage that properly. But I'm like, man, when people say they're bored, that probably drives me nuts. I'm going to invent my own martial art. The discipline of Swen. What would you call it? That'd be funny, bro. Yeah, martial arts is great. Even just like boxing, punching the bag or shadow boxing, like that's wicked cardio, dude. Like that will get your heart rate going, that'll get you sweating, get you moving. Like I'm also building a gym too, kind of. I have like a tiny little home gym in my garage. I have dumbbells and I have an adjustable bench, so I can do flat, incline, and I guess what would you call like straight up, like a seat? What is that? Just like flat bench, incline bench, and then what's the upright one? Does that have a name? Well, whatever. It's like a seated bench. And so I also have like the normal resistance bands, push-up bars, those like little push-up handles. But all I'm missing is like a pull-up bar. If I could like install a pull-up bar somehow in my garage, I think I'll have like a great home gym. Swen Jitsu. Yo. Oh, what's up, Martin? Swen Jitsu. That sounds like something from like Naruto. Swen Jitsu. Oh man. Martin Mindov. What's up, bro? How you doing? Welcome to the stream. But yeah, home gym, definitely super underrated in my opinion. I know most people like they love to go to like a commercial gym, like a normal gym membership. And I get it, you have better equipment. You're sort of in this environment where you're almost forced to work out, because once you travel to the gym and you go in, like you're not going to spend 5 minutes there. Like you're going to hopefully do a complete routine, right? But just the convenience of having like a home gym where you can go and bang out some dumbbell incline bench press, right, or pull-ups or whatever, like that's so underrated. Like because there's so many times in my day where I have like 20 minutes. Okay, I got like this 20-minute window where either the kids are sleeping or we're going to eat dinner in 20-25 minutes, and I have like this tiny little window to do something. And now of course that's not enough time to go drive to the gym and get a workout in, but now I can just go to my garage and bang out like 5-6 sets over a 20-minute period and get like a slight chest workout in, or shoulder workout, or legs, or whatever, right? And so I kind of I love having a home gym. I think it's super underrated. The only problem is I guess the motivation can be tough because you are at home, right? What's up? Yeah, just doing the normal stream, dude. Thanks for coming by. I always love talking to people during these live streams. Makes it more enjoyable for me. Hey, Forrest. Has it been 2 weeks? I think so. Has it? Has it been two? Oh, yeah, it's been 2 weeks, I think. Because I had back-to-back streams week to week because we had Canadian Thanksgiving last weekend. And last weekend I went up north to see my parents. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it's been 2 weeks. How you doing, Forrest? You watch House of the Dragon? You excited for tomorrow? Actually, you read the book though, so maybe it's not as exciting for you. It's super exciting for me because I don't know what's going on. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. But yeah, I'm really loving the whole character development of House of the Dragon. At first, I didn't like it when they changed actors, like when they changed Rhaenyra and Alicent. I was like, ugh. And then the recent episode, they changed the kids, right? Aegon and Aemond, because they like grew up, so they had older actors. So that part, I kind of don't like. I guess you would say I don't know. I kind of struggle to get used to it, but aside from that, I love it. I like Muay Thai. Might just practice that for a while. Chinese Shaolin martial arts also looks sick, honestly. Shaolin. Chinese. How do you say that word? Shaolin. Yeah, Muay Thai is super good too. Because Muay Thai, you got like the knees and the elbows and the kicks. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, to be honest, I think if you could find the time to just sign up for any type of martial art, definitely super beneficial. I've been like pondering when or if I should enroll my kids into martial arts. Because I feel like it's like a great thing for kids to learn, right? And it's sort of like maybe it's an excuse where I can go join as well. That'd be pretty funny. Like a 40-year-old Derek starts Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and he's like a white belt. And I have like a sore back and bad knees and terrible flexibility and everyone's strangling me. I bet you that's what would happen. Oh yeah, I cried so much. I don't like it how Aemon looks older than shrunken Aegon. Yeah, I noticed that too. Because Aegon is the older brother of Aemond. But now Aemond he almost looks like a pre-adolescent man. And Aegon is still this like boy. So I was like it looks like they're reversed. Like it looks like Aegon could be like the nephew to Aemond. Because Aemond looks like this super tough, tall, developed dude. Definitely send your kids to do either boxing or Muay Thai. Maybe Jiu-Jitsu after, but not the first. Oh, that's interesting. Is it because boxing and Muay Thai is simpler? Like, what's like a good... Because boxing is just all hand work, right? It's just all hands. Muay Thai, you add in elbows and knees and stuff. Maybe Jiu-Jitsu is so technical that it's tough for kids to learn at a young age because there's so much going on, right? Yeah, because Jiu-Jitsu is so complicated. I don't know. It's something I gotta figure out. Because also, like, I want to have my kids play sports, right? Like, I take my daughter every Wednesday to like this, I don't know what you call it, like this play group class where she can play with other kids. And hopefully eventually I can enroll them into sports and enroll them into martial arts. And also just like as a parent, knowing that your kids know how to protect themselves in an altercation, like at school or something, it's very soothing, to the anxiety you have as a parent, right? Like if my kids go to jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai or boxing class and, they get into like a fight at school, right? Hopefully they're not the aggressor, right? The one that's starting the fight, but hopefully they'll be able to defend themselves, right? And I think that's really important. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Got to bounce early today. Had a nice talk with you. See you next stream. Hey Swen, have a good day, bro. Get that boxing set up in your home gym. That'd be super cool. And keep up with the videos, dude. Keep grinding. Keep growing your channel. I say not jiu-jitsu first because there's no point in being a grappling master if you can't throw a strike. Also, jiu-jitsu pros get punched in the face once, and because they're so unconditioned, they lose a fight. Yeah, that I see what you're saying. Because like people who only practice jiu-jitsu, right? You're always just like on the ground. You're either on top or on your back, and you're always grappling, right? And like a fight in the real world, it's on your feet, right? You start on your feet in all fights, right? So that makes sense. I think maybe like jiu-jitsu for a girl might be more beneficial because like of the fact that like men can overpower women, right? So if there's ever a position where like a man is, unfortunately like going after a woman, for example, if the woman knows jiu-jitsu, then she can defend herself like when she's on her back, or maybe like do a triangle or strangle a guy or an armbar or something like that's also, I have to put that into consideration too as well, right? And also like I want to learn with them, right? Like it'd be super cool to just go to like Muay Thai class, for example, and just I don't like, would they have classes for adults and kids at the same time? Probably not, right? It's probably like age group dependent. So maybe I wouldn't be able to go with them at the same time. I might have to like train separately. I don't know how it works. Like I've never been to a martial arts class or school like ever. So I have no idea how any of this stuff works. But I don't know. We'll see. Lots to consider. I probably have to like save up the money in the first place even to be able to afford to send them to like some type of martial arts school. So I don't know. It's because like inflation, right? I'd imagine like martial arts classes aren't cheap. I would disagree again. Even if it's a girl, I'd say Muay Thai. Even if a man attacks her, she'd be conditioned if she did sparring and definitely be able to overpower the average man. That's interesting. Also, yeah, the classes are always based on age, so you wouldn't train with your kids. See, yeah, that sucks. Yeah, so how would that work? So then, that's what I figured, right? Because there'd always be age, so it'd have to be like separate classes or days where I take them, and then I guess I would just watch, and then for like adult classes it would be a completely different day. Yeah, that's tough. I don't know. It's like I wonder like what's the best way to like kind of plan this out or figure it out. I guess I could also sign up and just have different, because the one thing I want to do is like if the kids are learning a martial art and then I'm learning it too, right? There can be like, say they have a question about something and I can like help them. It's just the same with like language. Like I want my daughter to go to French immersion school. I want her to learn French, and my wife is good with languages, so she could like help her, right? Like I want to be able to not just enroll my kids into things, but I want to, help them as well. I want to like learn too. So I don't know. Martial arts classes aren't as expensive as you may think. Yeah, I'd have to look. Like I have no idea. I have no idea how any of this works. I haven't looked up any pricing or anything. It's I wonder if there's any around where I live. There must be. Because of like with the UFC, right? I feel like MMA has become so modernized and it's becoming so popular, right? So I feel like there must be all types of schools all over the place. Maybe not as, I wonder if it's as popular as commercial gyms. If I had to guess, I would say no, right? Because like commercial gyms are everywhere. But I don't think I've seen any martial arts schools around where I live. Or maybe if there are, like they're tucked away in some areas that I haven't been to. I don't know. It's a lot to consider. It's a lot to think about. I definitely want to do it though, 100%. I think it's something. It's like a great thing to teach kids, to teach young people, and even the fact of learning a martial art and knowing the dangers of fighting, right, might make them more reserved to avoid fighting or bullying other kids, right? So maybe that's another benefit as well. Again, I don't know. I don't know the benefits off the top of my head, but like these are things that I definitely like would consider as beneficial. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens. My son's only 3 months old anyway, so he's got a long he's got a long way to go. Long way. But sports will probably be, I think that'll be the first thing that I teach my kids, right? I feel like just being physically active, man, it's huge. And just not always being glued to like your iPad. Like I think that's the struggle with even like my generation too. Like just integrating technology in your lives. We're always just, stuck sitting down, living a sedentary lifestyle, scrolling through our phones, scrolling through our iPads. This it's not healthy, right? It's like physical activity, sports, running, whatever type of activity you want to do. Like just being physically active is it's so beneficial for your health. And it's something that, I've luckily been able to keep up with pretty much my entire life. Like I've always had a love for basketball, right? Like I love basketball. I used to play in the winter with like frostbite all over my hands and oh, it was terrible. It was the worst. I remember shooting on a rim where the mesh was frozen. So when the ball would go in, the ball would sometimes get stuck in the mesh, like in the net, because it was like frozen solid. And I'd have to like get a stick and hit the ball, like crazy stuff like that. Like that was my level of addiction to basketball as a kid. But also it was beneficial for me because I was always outside, right? I was always running around. I was always exercising, getting good cardio, getting sunlight, and in the summer, getting fresh air. So yeah, it's super super important. Just any type of physical activity, right, is something that I don't take lightly. There's so many benefits that I've noticed in my life where I've hit a workout early in the morning, or I've gone for a run or done something, and then the rest of my day has just felt so much more clear and positive, and I've had so much more energy, and I just like feel good about myself. And then in contrast, I've seen other days where I was too lazy to do a workout in the morning, or I just blew it off. And I was like, oh, I'll just work out another day. And then there's like this sluggishness that comes with that. And I just feel lethargic and I feel tired and I'm just sort of like going through the motions and I just feel slow. I just feel like I'm in slow motion. Nothing's going on. I'm lacking ideas. I'm lacking motivation. The difference is so apparent in my life when I have no physical activity as to opposed to when I do something. Right, and I think that's huge, especially for like productivity or whatever you want to accomplish. Like if it's in your life or in your career, it's one where like the benefits are just the benefits are, you can't argue against them, right? They're just so apparent. And like even today, I woke up, haven't done anything physical yet. I'm sitting down on my desk doing this stream, and after this, hopefully I can do some type of exercise, right? And it'll make me feel better for the rest of my day. So Yeah, super important. Well, yeah, also, I had a podcast yesterday. For any of you guys that don't know, I have a podcast called the Bearsy Podcast. You can find it on YouTube and Spotify, Apple Pods, and all the main places where you get your podcast. And yesterday I had a guy on who was half my age, and I was like, I couldn't believe it. It was this young guy, and I figured he was maybe like 21, 22, right? Something along those lines. And then the podcast, we just started talking, and he's 18. I was like, dang, bro, you're 18? I'm like, I'm double your age. So that was a super interesting conversation. I still have to edit the podcast. Hopefully, it'll be out maybe on Monday or so. We'll see if I have time to go through it. But yeah, if you guys want to check out the podcast, it's just called the Bearsy Podcast. You can find it on YouTube. I did episode 39 of just myself talking to the camera, and I took some of the questions from this live stream, and it did like a little quick Q&A. And it's cool because the pod has grown to 40 episodes now, so it's gonna be up to 40, and like this live stream is up to 35, so we're getting somewhere, right? Like we're making ground with this podcast and live streaming stuff, and hopefully I'm getting better as a speaker. That's something that I don't take lightly. Like I'm always trying to improve. I'm always trying to better the way I speak, better the way I share ideas, and also I try really hard with the ums and the uhs and the likes. When you lose your train of thought, or you kind of or going off on a tangent about an idea, and you're kind of like stumbling and fumbling your words, and you add in all these like filler words like ums and uhs and likes. I try really hard on like a weekly basis to improve that. And of course, like there are going to be times when you just naturally will default to those kind of placeholder words. But again, it's like I always want to keep improving, right? I want to better the way I speak in these conversations that we have, in these streams, in these podcasts, as it's very important for me. And the feedback I get from you guys, it's good too. It really helps me, right? It really helps me improve as a human being, because without feedback, it's tough, right? Like if you don't have someone telling you or letting know where you messed up, it's kind of hard to fix the holes in your game. Like imagine if you never get any constructive feedback or negative criticism for any YouTube videos you make. Then you have this inflated perception of who you are as a creator, and maybe you think all your videos are all perfect because no one's disliking them, no one's giving me any negative feedback or criticism. So you have this skewed perception of who you are. And I think it's one that I had in the beginning. Like in the beginning of this YouTube channel, it was just like me making videos, and I didn't get any haters at all. I had like no haters for like a long time. And I found that kind of weird because people always talk about, on YouTube, you always have trolls and you always have people that leave like hateful comments. And I never had any of that, right? It's in the self-improvement niche. I had it when I made videos about like video games and basketball. But in the self-improvement world, I never had any of that. So I sort of had this distorted perception of who I was as a creator. And it's, instead of like looking for my flaws, looking for things that I can improve upon, I was kind of blinded by that. So I enjoy feedback, especially from you guys. My cousin lived in the USA for a year. When she came back, it was as if she was replaced by an machine. Oh no. Oh. Yeah, is that more of like a North American thing? I wonder. That's super common. It's super common in Canada as well. The ums and the likes You know, like when I did this thing, like it's like that type of speech is see, like that stuff makes me cringe because you know what's the hardest thing to do as a content creator is listening to yourself speak. It's horrible. It's so like cringy. Like whenever I have to like edit some of my videos and I have to listen to myself speak, I just hate it. I'm just like, oh, this is the worst. No one's gonna want to listen to this. It's like, I hate like the sound of my own voice. It sounds like I'm stuffed up, or it sounds because my voice is very monotone, and my kind of personality is more. It's more introverted, right? It's more boring. I don't have that exuberant Peter McKinnon type personality when I speak, where I'm like animated and I'm excited. Like I'm very boring and monotone, right? So whenever I listen to myself talk, I'm always like, it's just like awful, and I hate it. But I think again that like that's important, right? If I never listen to myself, then I'll never be able to hear the flaws, right? And hearing the flaws and being honest about them is so, so important, especially for someone who is a striving communicator, right? That's another thing I say too much right. And my sentences with right a lot. Everybody hates their own voice. Yeah, that's true. I've heard that a lot as well. Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's like your own voice, it sounds so gross, right? Doesn't it? It's just like you listen to yourself speak and you're just like, ugh, ugh. It's vile. It's horrible for me because I have to listen to my own voice all the time editing. I would love to get to a point where maybe one day the channel becomes more successful. I could hire like a video editor. I don't have to do the editing myself. That would be super nice. I guess that's like the YouTube dream, right? That's hopefully something that I will be doing in the future, is like building out a team, because there's a point where it's tough to do everything yourself. I got to make titles and thumbnails, think about video ideas, record the video, edit the video. Like there's so much that goes into all this stuff. It's like I'll probably need help one day, right? I'm sure I will. And in all honesty, you know what? You know what I would love? I would love if I didn't do any editing at all. Like if all my time was just spent reading books, like thinking about new ideas, reading and writing, and then just recording, and that's it. Like if I could just do those three things, and I had other people behind the scenes to take care of the rest, like taking care of the title and the thumbnail and the description and all this stuff. All this stuff is so annoying. It's so time consuming. Like if I could just do those three things, I'd be super happy. To my own ears, my voice is so deep that I hate it. Aw. But I guess it's not. I don't know. Yeah, I think your voice is deep? Is it? To your ears, your voice is deep. Remember when you sent me a video on Instagram? I didn't think your voice was deep. But maybe that's like that self-perception that we have. Like how I feel like my voice is very nasally and stuffy. Like it's when I talk, it sounds like I'm stuffed up, like I have a cold or something. Because I have like blocked sinuses and I probably breathe through my mouth more than I should. And so I have this distorted perception that my voice is very nasally. I don't know. Here's a future video idea: why you should read Marcus Aurelius Meditations. Oh, Marcus Aurelius Meditations. Have you read that, Forrest? I have that book. Yeah, we do. Right here. Oh, let's see. I got the book so I could make like a thumbnail. This is a tough book to read. I don't know if you, how far am I? I actually haven't finished the whole thing. Does anyone do this? Like when you read books, I always like highlight things. Do you guys do this? Like in all my books, I always have a highlighter with me. And I'm always like highlighting stuff. Like see here too, like highlighting sentences. And it's like I have this weird obsession when it comes to books where like I want to own the best 100 books. Like I want to own the physical copy of books that I think are really, really good and ones that are worth reading over and over again. But when it comes to audiobooks and ebooks, I just go through tons and tons of books. Like that's how I normally consume books. I either read them on my Kindle or listen to an audiobook, and I just go through them like really, really fast. And then when I come across something that I feel like could be a top 100 book, then I'll buy it. And then I'll either reread it again or not re-listen to it. Like say I listened to a book the first time. Then I buy the physical copy if I think it's really good. And then I'll read it, but then I'll read it with a highlighter and highlight the ideas in the book that I think are like super, super good. And so the idea that I have, or what I want to do, is this bookcase behind me, I want to fill it up with the best 100 books, whether it's philosophy, psychology, personal finance, mind, like anything beneficial to myself as a human being. I just want to own the best 100 books, and I want to read them over and over and over again. And I don't know why I'm so obsessed in this way, but I just feel like once I have this collection, I can just pop open like a book and then look for the sections I've highlighted and look for like the really, really good ideas and be like, oh yeah, Marcus Aurelius said this. Like here, what did I highlight here? I highlighted those who are dead to life and have no aim for the direction of every impulse, and more widely every thought or why did I highlight this? Those who are dead to life have no aim for the direction of every impulse. Those who are dead to life have no aim for the direction of every impulse. Oh, okay, that's interesting. See, like the way that Marcus Aurelius writes, it's so if you have these impulses where you have no aim or direction, then you are dead to life. It's very interesting. Just stuff like that, right? Just being able to like flip open to like a little section or sentence that I've highlighted and just like think about that idea. I think everyone has read that these days, but yes, I did long ago. I feel like I should reread it again. I stopped, or else I'll start doodling. I only put a tiny dash next to the line I want to mark. Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, I really struggled to read this book, to be perfectly honest. It's I think this is my second time going through it, and I found the first time like it was a challenge. I don't know if it was like the semantics of the writing or the sentence structure or just like the general words that he would use. I found it very hard to digest. Like I've never had a book where I had to go back and reread the same paragraph over and over and over just to figure out like what he was talking about. It was such a struggle for me, but it was interesting because whenever I was able to fully digest any of the ideas, or I was like, oh, okay, I get what he's saying here. Okay, I get it. Now I understand. Then I was like, wow, like the information in this book is amazing, because this comes from a time where this dude is like a Roman emperor, right? And he's just sharing his ideas to himself in his journal. Like this was never a book that was intended to be published. And so in that sense, it's super, super intriguing, like how like how self-aware Marcus Aurelius really was. Like he was the emperor, like a king. He could be doing whatever he wants, but instead he was thinking about the human condition. He was thinking about these like problems that he had in his life. He was thinking about these conflicting ideas he had about his friends or his family or his people. And it was such like a interesting thing to read because it was like a pathway into this guy's mind that he never intended for any of us to read. And so in that sense, like a lot of the ideas were super, super awesome. Yeah, it's one that so this is why I think old books that hold up are very beneficial. And I know that there's like a lot of books from back in the day that don't stand the test of time. Either the ideas are dated or they become debunked or stuff like that, right? But I feel like the really, really good books from times past that still apply to everyday life are like a must-haves or must-reads. Like this stuff in Meditations, right? Like if you think about it logically and you go, okay, so like there's like this Roman emperor from 1,500 years ago or 2,000 years ago who had these problems that he thought about and he wrote in his journal. How is that applicable today in a world where we have internet and cars and electric vehicles and grocery stores? Like you would think that the ideas he had would have no application to today because our society is so different. But that's when like you're completely wrong. And it's like the things that he struggled with and the things that he thought about are like the same problems that we have today, like mental health, anxiety, acceptance, love, peace, humility, right? Like these are the things that were conflicting his mind. And if you look around at society today, this is like this whole epidemic of mental health is being raised by everyone. It's again like these anxieties. We have these struggles, these acceptances of other people and ourselves and the way we think about things. And it's like it's almost the same thing. He had these same thoughts thousands and thousands of years ago. And these are the same problems that we have today. And the fact that we have electric cars and vending machines, it has no relevance, on those ideas that fall back onto the human condition. And I find that super fascinating. I find that so fascinating. Because like there's a lot that you can learn there, right? Because like this guy is coming from a place of like power. He's like at the top. He's like on the top of the world. He's like the president, the emperor, the king. And this is what he was thinking about, right? He was thinking about his life. He was thinking about his anxieties, his inadequacies, how to be a better ruler, how to be a more loving and caring person. And that's like so interesting that a dude in his position would actually do that, right? Because like if you're like a ruler or a king, you're probably just like having fun, you're rich, you have all the money, you're having feasts, you're making decisions how to rule your kingdom. Like you're probably so busy with all that type of stuff. Like you wouldn't even think to journal about your own feelings and emotions. So yeah, really loved this book. Making a video about it would be super cool, but I feel like I don't understand the book enough to give a well thought out position about why you should read it. Or maybe did I just give an argument for why you should? I don't know. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's such a cool thought. I wonder who is alive today that might be the Marcus of the future. Wow. Wow, that's crazy. That's kind of like how Elon Musk today is the Nikola Tesla of the past type of thing. But man, who is like the Marcus today? That's what blows my mind. It's like, because when you think about philosophy, you always think about the greats, right? You think about like old philosophy. But like there's philosophers alive today that could be just as impactful, if not more impactful, like 1,000 years from now. Like imagine in the year 4000, right? They're going to be like, oh yeah, there was this guy in 2022. He had all these amazing ideas about humanity. Maybe it's like Jordan Peterson or something. Imagine if it's Andrew Tate. Imagine if 4,000, 2,000 years from now, they're like, oh, there was this guy, Andrew Tate, in 2022. Oh, man. Like, Jordan Peterson could be that guy. I don't know. Who else is, like, super motivating, super influential in, like, a position of power? But that also has, like, like, what about, like, Joe Rogan? Like, maybe even, like, the year 4000, they could be talking about Joe Rogan in that sense. Maybe that's part of the journey. You don't have to be the perfect booktuber. The readers aren't either. Oh yeah, that's true. Because my channel is not like a book. It's not like a philosophy book review channel, right? Oh, that guy. Yeah, man. You know what I love about Andrew Tate? Have you seen those Grand Theft Auto videos of him where they create like the Andrew Tate character with like glasses, and then there'll be like a caption like Andrew Tate catches you drinking soy milk, and then this like Bugatti starts flying down the highway and jumps over the curb, and then the Andrew Tate character gets out, he runs up to you and he punches you in the face. It's like, it's so funny. This stuff makes me laugh. Oh, I like Jordan. Yeah, Jordan Peterson, I feel like super good. I almost feel like that guy is too smart. Like he makes these connections in his thoughts and he brings up these ideas that I struggle to follow sometimes, because he's like, that guy is like, he's such an intellectual at a level where someone like me, it's sometimes hard to comprehend what he's saying. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy's like too smart. It's funny because he was a professor in Toronto, and I live just outside of Toronto, and I actually applied to the university that he teaches at when I was younger. Yeah, super interesting. I really like Jordan. I really like Jordan Peterson. I think he had some trouble with drug addiction, didn't he? Wasn't he addicted to like benzodiazepine, and he was struggling to get off of them or something? I remember reading something about that. I hope he's okay. Do you believe there's a certain purpose of human existence? Oh, wow, that's an amazing question. Do you believe there's a certain purpose of human existence? See, I've thought about that question briefly, and I think the one answer that gives a lot of people comfort is those who are very religious. Like if you're someone that's extremely religious, whether like whatever, name the religion, right? Like say you live your life where you believe in a certain type of theology or God or existential being or whatever, it kind of like gives you purpose to your life. And I feel like the other people where you don't have that same draw to religion, that's when this question becomes very interesting. Because like if you are all about the Bible, right, then the purpose of human existence is pleasing Jesus, right? Pleasing God, being a good Christian, being a good person, following the 10 Commandments. So you have this very linear path to your life that you can follow, right? Because if that's what you believe in, that's your faith. But like for other people, like for me, for example, I don't know what I would call myself. I guess I consider myself agnostic is probably the best description of who I am. I'm like someone who's agnostic, but also supports everyone's religion, right? I have no ill will or anger or hate in my heart towards anyone's religion. You could be Catholic, Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Buddhist, whatever. Name the religion. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. I'm very accepting of all people's beliefs. But with my own personal beliefs, I'm always like, I don't know. What's the purpose of my life, right? Like, why do we exist? Why are we here? And then whenever I think about that, my mind always goes out to the universe, and I think about how vast the universe is. And then my mind just gets overloaded. I'm just like, this is so crazy. Like, we're like a tiny planet in the billions and billions of stars in the galaxies. And whenever I hear Neil deGrasse Tyson talk about the universe is so big that this Earth exists in infinity, and that we've all lived our lives somewhere at this exact moment of time as replicas in other universes and other galaxies and other stars, I'm just like, what is going on? And that's sort of like where my level of comprehension as a human being kind of fails me. And then I get stuck on these existential questions, kind of like, what's the purpose of human existence? And then I think the answer is the word because. It's kind of like, it's up to you, right? It's sort of like what you believe in. The purpose of your life is because of whatever you decide, I feel like. And there's kind of like no answer that we can quantify or prove that applies to everybody. So I think it's like an interesting question to consider, but I feel like the true answer is just the one that you come up with for yourself. I love people like him, like Jordan Peterson, right? Yeah, I love anything. You know what I really like? The debates that Jordan Peterson has. He comes up with like great points, like on the spot, like just like this, like bang, 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 like in the moment, like not scripted, and he just has his like amazing explanation for things, like backed up by data or personal experience or anecdotes, and just like I'm probably super jealous of that guy intellectually. I would love to just be 1/10 of as smart as that dude is. It'd be like be amazing. Here's another one. Do you believe the purpose of human life evolves or changes as society changes? I don't think I've ever thought about that. Do you believe the purpose of human life evolves or changes as society changes? Well, society plays a huge role on human beings, right? Like, we are influenced greatly by our environment. And I remember reading like studies, and this kind of ties into like mob mentality. Like, you know, when you see a group of people doing something, immediately other people will kind of like jump in or join in on that bandwagon, or they want to be like part of the herd, part of the mob. And like, our environment affects human beings like so much. So as society changes, as what we believe is important, what we believe is necessary, you know, and what we believe is like true to the human condition and true to human beings, it's like, I feel like it has to change, right? Like, the purpose of human life, definitely, in my opinion, is always evolving. It's always changing. It's evolving. It's an interesting question, because I don't know. I've never really thought about this before, based on as society changes. The purpose of human life evolves or changes as society changes. Yeah, there's lots of great ideas to go into there. Yeah, because like, what if society changes for the worse? Like, what if we like end up in one of these like zombie apocalypse type situations, right? And then like, what's the purpose of human life? Is it like devolving, right? If society devolves, does human life devolve as well? Like, do we go back to like hunter-gatherer, Stone Age type of interactions? Yeah, I don't have an answer for you. That's like super interesting question. I guess it would have to depend on what type of societal change we're talking about. Like, even like look at like inflation in Russia and Ukraine. Like, look at like how much like a war in Europe affects like the West, like the West Coast, like not the West Coast, like the Western world, like US and Canada. Like economically, we're like struggling. You see like prices of cost of living, gas, food, even like baby formula. Like, you know how hard it is to find like baby formula? Like there's so many times where me and my wife, we go out shopping to find baby formula for Lincoln, he's going to be 3 months. And all the shelves are bare. Shelves are empty. Or if you find some, there's a limit of one package per family. And it's just like, oh my gosh, this is like so crazy. And then it's like, you know, the purpose of my life just becomes like finding nutrition for my baby, for our baby, for our child. It's like, yes, society has like a massive impact on the way we think about things. Like, even think about 2019. Think about how different the world was in 2019, before the pandemic, before the lockdowns, right? Before the restrictions, before the inflation and all this type of stuff. Like life was good. Like 2019, you know, like life was real good. Or at least in Canada, it was great here. Right? There was so much less animosity and problems and conflict. And now it's like a whole mess. And I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I love overthinking about that. Oh, the existential questions. I've always loved reading about all kinds of myths and what people believed in. One God or many or none at all. I just have to read about that. Yeah, I find that stuff super interesting. For like the longest time, I always thought like all these different religions that believed in God, they were just all worshiping the same God, but just from a different lens or perspective, right? Like let's say if there is one God in the universe, like people in North America, people in Asia, people in Europe, people in Africa, like, you know, back in the day, we were so much less connected, you know, before technology and the internet and stuff. And maybe I always just thought like, oh, we're just all worshiping the same God in our own ways. But then as I got older, I'm always like, oh, but what if there's many gods? What if there's no God? Or what if there is only one? Then I'm like, ooh, okay, so this is interesting. Now there's multiple answers here. So now I'm like, I wonder what the answer is. But what kind of drives me crazy and sort of makes me the most sad is the fighting that comes from religion. And I know that, like in North America, we have this saying that you never talk about religion and you never talk about politics, especially with your friends or your family. Like you're not supposed to bring these two topics up, because all you get out of it is fighting and argumentation and animosity. Like there's like this thing here, you just, whether it's like a family vacation or a holiday or a dinner with your friends, you never bring up religion and you never bring up politics. And I've been a person who has always disagreed with that sentiment. I've always disagreed with that. I feel like you know, talking about religion and politics, I think it's important. Like if you have people that can have an open-minded, non-confrontational discussion, right? I feel like we can have like a calm discussion about religion and gods and stuff. So I don't know, and it's tough because I see people that, you know, believe in opposing religions. Like I think a big example is like India and Pakistan, right? They have opposing religions and they border each other as countries, and they're always at war. And where I live, there's a lot of people from India and a lot of people from Pakistan here in Canada. And I've talked to some of them, and then some dudes are just like, I hate Pakistani people. And then some Pakistani people are like, oh, I hate Indian people. And I'm just like, dang, I'm like, why? And their answer is always because, oh, they believe in some BS religion. I'm just like, oh, man. And that makes me really sad. You know, that kind of makes me sad because like there's this horrible conflict between these two countries just based on their religion, right? So in that sense, it's I don't know, it's a little disappointing, I guess you would say, but yeah, I don't know. I personally believe that we are a lost species. Oh, that's interesting. A purpose has to be set by a creator or an owner. For example, somebody who created a bin set its purpose to be collecting trash. So as an atheist, believing that we have no creator, we do not have a purpose. That's interesting. Believe that we are a lost species. I never really heard it put in that way before. Okay, so Martin, you're an atheist. That's pretty cool. I had a guy on my podcast a couple weeks ago who was an atheist. He had a super interesting analogy where he says something like he doesn't believe in a magical spaghetti monster who lives in the clouds. And then I kind of laughed at that. I was like, oh, that's a super super interesting way to put it. I think it's also because he's like a comedian, or he used to be a comedian. A super interesting guy to talk to, like a comedian atheist. I just thought that was a funny depiction of God. I never thought about it in that way, a spaghetti monster. We say something similar here too. The religion of an Albanian is Albanianism. Albanianism. That's interesting. Is there like one predominant religion where you live, Forrest? Like, is there like there's definitely like Catholic, Christian, or Muslims, or like is there like one religion that dominates your area where you live? Because that's one thing that I'm very ignorant of. Like some you name a country, I probably have no idea what religion there is there. Like I don't even know. Like, what's a country close to you that borders you? Like Bosnia or like Macedonia? Like I'd have no idea what type of religion they have there. Like I know like the religions that people follow in India and Pakistan only because of like people that I've talked to. Like I have friends that are from India and from Pakistan, so I've had conversations with them. So like I've kind of learned in that sense. I just had a thought. Our true creators are our parents. So if there was a purpose to human life, would it or should it be something to do with our parents and pleasing them? Ooh, man, I like your questions, Martin. They're super interesting. Lost in what way? Lost as in purposeless. Sorry, I should have elaborated, but the 200 character limit. Oh, there's a 200 character limit in the chat? Is that a thing? Can I disable that in some way? That's annoying. Oh, there's a 200. Oh, I see it. Okay, I see it. Yeah, even I have a 200 character limit too. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, I don't think I have an option to increase that. Man. See, this reminds me of like Twitter. You know, like Twitter, you're trying to get like an idea out and you have this stupid character limit. Oh, I hate anything that limits communication. But there are tons of individual atheists that feel like they have their purpose in life. Yes, Muslim. Okay, so Muslim is like the predominant religion. It's interesting. But that's the thing. In the eyes of a Middle Eastern Muslim, we aren't Muslim since we are so chill. Oh, what? So they don't... Wait a minute. So Middle Eastern Muslims don't view other Muslims in the same light? Oh, because you're not as extreme about it or as radical? Because like I've talked to Middle Eastern Muslims and they like I don't want to, sorry if I get this wrong, but like the way they view Quran is that it's like a book of truths, and that the Quran, it's kind of like this all-knowing doctrine that following it is sort of like following law. I don't know if that's right, but I've had like some conversations with some people, and I find that super interesting. But from what you're saying, does that mean Middle Eastern Muslims who are more radical or devote, they don't view Eastern European Muslims in the same way? Is that right? See, this is the stuff I love to. This is why I like to talk about religion and politics, because like I'm learning things right now, like that I had never would have figured out, right? Like I and even in the real, not the real world, like even in my personal life, like talking to my friends who are either like Punjabi or Hindu, or people from Pakistan who are Muslim, and just like kind of like talking to them, like asking questions and like having civil conversations. Like I learned things. And I find it like super interesting. Yeah. Okay, I see. Yeah, it's so. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about all that kind of stuff. That's so interesting. Like I know I have a friend who he's like a devout Muslim, where I think there is like a community center where he lives, I believe. Or I don't know if is it a community center or is it like a mosque? Do you consider like the place of worship a mosque, right? And so he lives close to one, and every Friday he's always excited, like, oh, I'm gonna do this with my community. We're gonna do this at the community center, or we're gonna go to the mosque and pray for some type of festival. And he's always like, he has this like excitement, right? Where all the weekend is here, but it's not like the weekend is here to go party. It's like the weekend is here so he can practice his religion and his faith and be with his people and kind of do things in his community. And I think that's kind of beautiful, right? I think that's kind of cool because he has like this clear purpose in his life. And like I see the joy on his face. Like, oh, I can't wait, to do this and this and this, and it's going to be so much fun. And I'm always like, oh, that's super interesting. But then from my perspective, from my point of view, because like I'm agnostic, it's like I don't know how to relate in that sense, because I don't have anything that I believe in that strongly about, where that passion is like authentic, right? Like I don't have that in my life, but I can appreciate it because I can see like that, like the glow that you see in someone's eyes, like when they're just like full of joy and happiness. So I just find it super interesting. It's also part of the law to not force that religion upon anyone. Oh, really? Yet most of them do it. Like me here in Kosovo, I don't wear a hijab, and no one will judge me that I don't. No one can make me, and no one can stop me if I want to start wearing one. Oh, okay, I get it. Oh, that's interesting. Because there's country. I saw a video recently of this girl who was being persecuted for not wearing her hijab. I think it was like Iran. I want to say it was Iran. And then I think she was in her car and she was recording videos like out of her passenger window, and these men would come up to the car on like a motorcycle, and they would start yelling at her because she wasn't wearing her hijab. And he's like, "Oh, don't you know this is a Muslim country? You're supposed to wear it. You're disrespecting us." And like over and over and over again, this woman was like getting berated from all these men, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, what is going on?" And it's like I have no idea what that's like, because we're where you live in Canada, we have freedom of religion, right? And this is what I really like about living where I live. You have all races of people, all ethnicities, all backgrounds and religions and skin color and just like everything. There's like this one they call Toronto like a melting pot, right? And so I kind of like that because I get to see the world through other people's perspectives, and it's like super cool. And even like myself, right, as someone who is like biracial and mixed ethnically, where I struggle with my own personal identity because I don't have like a group of people that I associate with. Like, you know, when I talk to some of my friends that are like from the Philippines, for example, they always say like, oh, I can't wait to go back home. I'm going to go back home in the summer, going to go to the Philippines. We're going to go eat some of like our traditional Filipino food and see my friends and see my family and do all these things, right? And then I'm like, I don't know what that feels like because I don't have a home. Like, I don't have a home country like that. I don't have this one nationality or ethnicity that I identify as or that I have a bond to. So I don't know what it feels like to have that attraction of going home, right? Maybe like home for me is Canada, but in Canada we don't really have that much of like Canadian culture, right? Because it's so multicultural. Like the US, like if you're American, there is like this patriotism towards like being an American. You have like an American way of living. You have like very proud with like the American flag in the US. Like they're very patriotic and they have like all this like deep history. But in Canada here, no one really says like, oh, I'm Canadian. You know, like it's not like a thing that we do here. Everyone is like, oh, I can't wait to go back home because everyone here is from other countries. So yeah, the judgment thing for religion is one that I don't understand because I live in a place where it's accepted, right? Like you could drive down the street where I live, you could drive by a mosque, you could drive by a temple, and you could drive by a church. Like 3 differing religions all down the same road. Like you can find that here, right? So I don't know. It's tough. That word home right now is triggering me. Oh no. Are you getting triggered? But you know what I mean, right? I always hear people say that all the time. Because that's what it's like in Canada. Like in Canada, when we're lucky enough where we get multiple weeks of vacation. Like from my day job, I think I get, what do I get? I get 4.5 weeks. Yeah, I get 4.5 weeks vacation for my job. And I think you can get up to 6.5 or 7. Like you can get a lot of time off if you work for a corporation here that has good benefits. And so, like at work, I'll always hear people like, "Oh, I booked vacation in July in the summer. I'm gonna go back home." And it'll be like a Jamaican guy talking about how he booked like 4 weeks off and he's gonna go back home to Jamaica, right? And then it'd be like I don't know, like a 30-year-old guy, right? And he's lived in Canada for like 28 years. So I guess he was like born in Jamaica, right? Lived there for like 2 years, and then has been living in Canada for like 28 years. But his home is still Jamaica. Like that's still home to him, right? Even though he's spent like 14 times as much time in this country rather than that one. But he still has this like identity of a home to him. Like that's his people, that's his culture, that's his like way of living. You know, that's kind of like who he is. And it's like an interesting idea that I hear all the time. It's always this idea of going back home or back home we have this dish, or you know, back home we have this and that. And it's like, you know, I don't have that. And I've traveled to all the countries where my parents are from ethnically, right? I've been to Japan, I've been to Austria and Italy. Like I've been there, I've traveled there. And when I went there, there was no sensation or sense of home in those countries. They all felt foreign to me. There was no pull. I didn't feel any like emotional pull or ties to them. Japan was super cool, but I wasn't like, oh man, this is where I'm from, or these are like my people, or these are my traditions. Like I didn't feel any of that. So I don't know. In words that maybe you could understand somehow, we Albanians of Kosovo are the last Native Americans that are trying so hard to keep the one last piece of puzzle that is left to name. Oh, that's super interesting. Okay, so you're phrasing it in a way that I can understand. We Albanians of Kosovo are the last Native Americans that are trying so hard to keep the one last piece of puzzle that is left to name. Overproductive. Yeah, we have like some Native American people here. Last piece of puzzle that's left to our name. Yeah, it's that's interesting. See, like this is something like because I don't have like a perspective, like a well thought out perspective on this type of idea. Like I don't know how to move forward and react to something like that. Because like it's something that like I don't understand, right? Like you're wording it in a way that I understand. It's like you are like the natives to your country and you have like these traditions and way of life, and it's like you kind of like want to keep that, right? It's kind of like who you guys are, and I find it interesting that like as Muslims there's like a different kind of Muslim and you don't force anything. I find that super cool. So like you could wear a hijab if you want or not, and no one's gonna judge you. Like that's super cool. Like is that like more open-minded? Would you classify that as more open-minded? Or would you classify that as like less devout? Right? Because it's like or maybe both things could be true at the same time. Yeah. Yeah, we're snowflakes. Yeah, it's interesting because like I've studied like European geography a lot, and I think I could probably name almost all the countries in Europe or close to all of them. And I always wondered like the whole area where you live, like Bosnia, Herzegovina, Kosovo, that whole like section, Albania. Like I don't know, I don't think I know anybody from that part of the world. Like in Toronto, I don't think I've met anybody from there, or if they have, they never told me. I always wonder like what it's like over there. I'd say both, maybe. Yeah, it's an interesting question, right? Because there is a problem that becomes with like extreme devotion, right? There's kind of like this. I don't want to call it a trap, but it's almost like if you're extremely devoted to your religion, then I know you talked about how you don't like to force it on other people, but there's some people that are extremely devoted where like they'll force it on their family, right? They'll force it on their kids. And as a parent, I think that's not a good way to parent. I feel like the more open-minded way is probably a better way to raise your children. But at the same time, it's like, you know, devotion can be good also because then you're like kind of consistent with your beliefs, right? It's a very messy situation. As a Bulgarian, oh, you're Bulgarian. That's cool. I think it's pretty easy to spot a Middle Eastern person. Where is Bulgaria on the map? Bum, 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 bum. Are you guys like neighbors? Bulgaria. Oh, you're almost neighbors. So Bulgaria is south of Romania, and east of Serbia and Macedonia. So Kosovo is one country over. See, this whole part of the world, like I'm looking at Google Maps right now. I don't know if you guys can see this. Like this whole area of Albania, Kosovo, North Macedonia, Serbia, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, Turkey. Like I don't know anything about this part of the world. Because the furthest east outside of Asia that I've traveled is probably to Vienna in Austria, which is eastern Austria, close to Slovakia and Hungary. That's the furthest east I've probably gone in Europe. Yeah, that's the furthest I've been. Super cool. I love looking at Google Earth or whatever. I love looking at the planet. It's so cool. I've always been extremely fascinated with geography for one reason or another. I mean, I've lived in the UK my whole life, but my nationality is Bulgarian. Oh, okay. So, well, this is a perfect question, perfect person to ask. When you think of the concept home, right? Do you think of the UK or do you think of Bulgaria? Like if you were to say how we were talking about, like, oh, I'm going on vacation and go back home, or I can't wait to go back home. Like, what is home to you? Like, if you lived in UK in the United Kingdom your whole life, is that your home? Like, are you British, or do you still consider that by ethnicity you're Bulgarian? So is home Bulgaria? Like, I wonder what your answer would be for that. Because I always thought, for me, my home is Japan or Italy or something. Like, that's what I always thought. But then I went there, I'm like, this is so foreign. This has nothing to do with home for me. Austria is a pretty cool place too. My cousin was actually just here a couple weeks ago. She stayed a few days, came from Austria. Unfortunately, she hurt her back and she had to go back home, which kind of sucks, but... Oh, that's interesting. Like, the far east coast of Italy is not that far from the west coast of Albania. Huh. I believe home is whatever place you feel you belong in. That's a good answer. Yeah, that makes sense. I just find it interesting, like, when people have lived in a place for like 99% of their life, but they still consider the piece of land where the hospital they were born in resides, that is their real home. Like my brother felt like that for like the longest time, because when we were kids we lived in Bermuda, and my brother was born there, and growing up he always saw Bermuda as his home, which was very interesting. I see the UK as home, so whenever I'm in Bulgaria, it'd be like, I just want to go home now. That's how I felt. That's exactly how I felt. Like when I was in Japan, and I was in Italy, and I was in Austria, I was like, okay, I'm good. The vacation's over. I can't wait to go back home. And then home is like Canada, right? That's like sort of like how I felt. But like the weird thing with Canada, it's like we have there's like hardly any like Canadian culture. Like there's a lot of like culture from the UK in Canada, because we were like, do we still pay? I think we still pay the crown. And we used to have to sing. Um, we don't do it anymore. Is it what do you sing in classrooms as kids? Is it like "God Save the Queen" or something? Like for the longest time, I thought that we just sang the Canadian national anthem in schools here, but we didn't. We sang the one for the UK first, and then we sang the Canadian anthem because we were like a British Commonwealth or something like that. So, like, there's like this huge cultural tie between Canada and the UK, which is even more strange because that's even like there's even less uniqueness to being Canadian. Like, unless you want to talk about like the people who live out in the forest who have that strange Canadian accent that always talk about maple syrup and playing hockey. We never had to sing patriarchal songs in school. Yeah, we're very strange here. Like, you would just think you would sing "Oh Canada," and that would be it. But no, like my mom told me that they had to sing the not American, the British, whatever, patriarchal song, I guess you would call it, in school. Well, that's why when the Queen passed away in the UK, it was like a huge deal here. It was like a big deal in Canada. When the Queen had the funeral and all that, like it was like not just because of who it was, but again, like Canadian ties that we have to the UK. It was a big deal. I think it's kind of strange that Canadians had to sing UK patriarchal songs, whereas UK themselves didn't. Yeah, I don't know, man. Canada is a strange place. It's a very strange place. It's a very confusing place. It's very interesting. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm very thankful for a lot of things that we have in Canada as like a first world country. Like when we had our kids, you go to the hospital, they take care of you, and you're not hit with like a $10,000 bill, right? Like my bill for going to the hospital was like the $16-20 to pay for parking. Like that's what it costs to have a baby in Canada, right? Whereas like if you're in the US, like you have hospital bills, doctor bills, bills for the epidural, like the room, like there's everything, right? And so like don't get me wrong, like I'm very fortunate and appreciative of Canada as a whole, but there's also like these very strange laws and customs we have here. And one of the biggest is we don't have freedom of speech. Like, in the US, they always talk about like their First Amendment rights. Is it the First Amendment? I believe it's the First Amendment of freedom of speech. In Canada, we don't have that. So if you are someone like me who is like streaming, or if you're like a comedian who's telling jokes at a club on stage, or if you're having a protest, or you're speaking some type of lecture in public, like if you are doing any form of like public speaking, you can be sued and prosecuted for what you say in Canada, which is very strange because there are lawsuits that we have here for comedians in Canada who tell jokes on stage at a comedy club. You can get sued for what you say because we don't have freedom of speech rights here. And so we live in this very strange country that I feel like we have a conflicted identity. We have ties to the UK. We have like old ties to British government and policies, but also we try to separate ourselves from the American way. We appreciate America, but we try not to be like them. But at the same time, we have very, very strange laws and customs here. It's I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it, but it's the more I learn about this country that I live in, the more confused I get. But yeah, is it "God Save the Queen"? Is that the correct? I want to make sure I get this right. Let me see. Yeah, here. So in Canada, the education system confirmed that we had to sing God Save the Queen until the late 1990s. That's so crazy. So it wasn't until the late 1990s that all schools in Canada stopped enforcing to sing God Save the Queen along with the Canadian national anthem. Wow. So interesting. Like, I don't even know what that is. It would be God Save the King now. Oh, that's so do the what do you say, lyrics? Do the words change now that the Queen has passed? Like what? Like that's yeah, because like would you just call it God Save the King now? Dropping in. Yo, Brian Primetime, what's up, bro? What's going on? Welcome to the 1440p stream. Hopefully the quality looks a lot better. Brian, you ready for Detroit, bro? God Save the King. Oh, it's considered the Canadian royal anthem. Wow. So interesting. Yeah, we were having some interesting conversations about geography, religion, customs. Super fun stream. Yeah, it looks good quality. Yeah, I upped the quality to 1440p from the last stream, and it looks a lot like better. So, you know, every week trying to improve the stream a little bit as I can. I can't believe this is number 35, dude. You remember when I did like stream 1? And I think Forrest was there. Forrest is like the OG. She's probably the only one that's been here since the beginning. So Forrest has seen the evolution of the stream. Yeah, Detroit, bro. I'm excited for Detroit. Next Wednesday. Me and Brian are going to go to Detroit and watch the NBA game. It's opening night, right? I think it's opening night. The Detroit Pistons. And Brian's going to do some TikTok video work. Is it TikTok they want, or maybe Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts? Whatever you want to call it. We're going to be recording some video. It should be fun. I'm the grandma here. I'm the grandma here. Oh man. The first streams I did for us were so hard. Like I had no idea what I was doing. Like I remember you came, and I think there was maybe one or two other people that would show up every once in a while and to like give me company and like maybe ask some questions, and we had like some really cool conversations. I remember one of the first conversations we had, and we talked about how you were struggling with sleeping and that you were like an insomniac. But like in the beginning when I started doing the live streams, I was so nervous, right? I was so scared of doing a live stream because I was so afraid that no one would show up and no one would watch, and then I'd have to just be like talking to myself. And it was tough because like, you know, whenever you start something new, you all your anxieties come up, right? And you're scared because people are gonna think this new endeavor that you're trying to pursue is worthless, right? Yo, Red, what's up, bro? Good to see you, dude. Thanks for stopping by. How's life? Oh man, we're almost done this stream. We got like 5 more minutes or so. But thanks for coming by, man. Always great seeing you. But yeah, we were talking about how back in the day, it's just like me and Forrest and maybe like one or two other people just like talking about life and just, and those were like my training grounds. You know, those were like my lessons for communication and lessons for live streaming and lessons for how to speak and convey ideas. And like and again, I always tell this to people that, you know, want to start content creation or want to start a business. It's like that first task, that first stream, that first project or proposal or video, that very first thing you do is always going to be the most difficult. It's going to be full of anxiety. It's going to be full of doubt. It's going to be full of self-hatred. It's going to be like the worst thing you do, right? But if you never start that thing that you want to do, then you can never get the ball rolling. And I remember at the time, I can't remember if I read this quote somewhere, but it was something along the lines of, 1 year from now, you're going to be thankful you started today. And that was something that really stuck with me. And so whenever there's something in my life where I'm starting brand new, I always tell myself, like, 1 year from now, if I start this thing, I'm going to be thankful I started today. And it kind of became like this unofficial slogan or motto of my channel. And I say it sometimes at the end of my videos. And it really helped me to like just get through that uncomfortable phase and start the live stream, right? And start the podcast. So it's just been like so beneficial for me over the months, as the months have gone by. Life is all right, just trying to stay focused. Oh, that's good, bro. Yeah, life is hectic right now, dude. There's so much going on. Like, if there's ever a time when you need to be more focused, more disciplined, it's like today is it. Like, there's so much like chaos going on in the world, and I talk about this a lot, like inflation, cost of living. Like, this affects all of us, man. Like, everybody. Like the cost of gas and groceries and rent and just overall cost of living, right? It's so hard. Like, and we're feeling it too. Like, I'm struggling. I feel it at times where it's like, man, am I going to be able to afford all this stuff? So I've had to be a lot more disciplined with like my purchases and the things that I do and spend money on and where I spend my time, and like just staying focused, man. It's so huge. It's so important. I got used to talking to the same people in the Game of Thrones live streams. So this, talking about life and whatnot, is new to me too. Also, the only contact I have with people. In real life, I barely talk. Oh, really? In real life, you're more on the quiet side? I'm the opposite. I used to be like that in real life. I used to be like kind of more reserved and shy, I guess you would say. I wasn't really that outspoken because I was like extremely introverted. But now I'm kind of more, I guess you would say, ambiverted. I think Forrest, you taught me this term of ambiversion, where it's in between introverted and extroverted. And that's sort of like how I feel now. And in real life, I'm someone that almost talks too much because I love conversations. I love just talking to people. I love like ideas and just like talking about like what's going on. Like, oh, this happened or this. And because naturally I'm a super curious person, right? I'm always like curious about things. But like in school, I was always forced to learn about subjects I just didn't care about, right? And that's why I hated education for like the longest time. I hated school. I hated books. I hated learning. I hated all of that. I didn't want to learn Shakespeare. I didn't want to learn trigonometry, right? I didn't want to learn history of some battle in, I don't know, in the 1800s. Like, this stuff I didn't care about, right? But it wasn't until like I realized that if you can find topics that you're curious about, that's when like learning and education becomes easy, because now it's like coming from a place of passion, right? It's coming from a place of joy and curiosity and you know, trying to figure out, oh, what's this or what's that or what happened here or what happened there. And it's like, it's just something awesome that I love now. And now I love learning. I love books. I love reading. I love speaking. I love all this type of stuff. And so I don't know, it's kind of interesting how my life has morphed over the years. Like I've changed a lot as a person, and this whole stream and all this content creation stuff has played a huge role in my growth as an individual, right? For real, I've been feeling a dark energy around me every time I step out. Could be how the world is, but I can't fold under pressure now. Oh, the dark energy. Bro, I feel that dark energy whenever I have to fill up my car with gas. I'm like, wait, Red, are you in California? Sorry if I forget. I try to. I was telling Forrest, I try to remember where you guys are from. I feel like you're in California, right, Red? Wasn't there like $9 a gallon gas in California the other day? I think I saw something like that on the news, and I was like, oh my gosh, like that's insane. I'm in the position now. Life is very hard for me as I spend most of my hours in a classroom learning about things I don't care about. Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. I hate that, man. That's what kills me about education. It's like this idea of forcing kids to learn about things that they don't care about, and then when they don't do well, prescribing them like ADHD medication because they can't learn or they can't focus. Like, I know that feeling far too well because I'm someone who loves learning. I love education. I love reading. I love all this stuff. But in school, it was taught to me in the wrong way, right? It was just not the right way to do it. And that stuff drives me crazy. I personally think it degrades my quality of life in a way. Hey, man, I can totally relate to that. Yeah, you know what's crazy too? Like when I went to university, I thought university was a time where you specialize, right? So I went for like computer science. So I'm okay, I'm going to be taking math and physics and calculus and programming. But they're like, no, you have to be like a well-rounded human being. So you have to take history and sociology and I was like all these like elective courses. And I was like, really? I thought that this was finally the time to specialize, and I still have to be forced to learn these things that I don't care about. And of course I failed all those classes, right? So it sucks. Yeah, I'm in SoCal now. Gas is $6.30, new normal. Oh, okay, so you're in California. Dude, that's so crazy. $6.30. Because that's $6.30 a gallon, right? And a gallon is like what, 3.7 liters? I think a gallon is 3 3/4 of a liter. It's not quite times 4. Because gas prices here is like $1.50 a liter. So if you triple that, that's $4.50 plus another dollar. So per gallon in Canada, it's probably $5.50 a gallon. So yeah, still more expensive in California. I want to start a self-improvement YouTube channel. Do you have any tips? Yo, Kevin, what's up, bro? You want to start a self-improvement YouTube channel? Do you have any tips? Okay, so first, what you should do is try to figure out like what type of self-improvement, because like the self-improvement world is broad, right? It's like a broad genre or niche. You could do like physical fitness, you can do going to the gym, you could do philosophy, psychology, books, reading, mindset, cold showers, meditation, intermittent fasting. Like there's so many like little habits in the self-improvement niche. But if you want to start a self-improvement YouTube channel, what I would do is find 3 things that you really like to do. So for me, it was like working out, intermittent fasting, and cold showers. And just get your phone. Where's my phone? Is my phone here? Oh, here. So get your phone, right? Don't worry about cameras. Just get your phone, use the front-facing camera, and make 3 videos, each about those 3 topics, right? So I make a video about working out, make a video about fasting, and make a video about cold showers. And the most important thing, if you want to start a self-improvement YouTube channel, is to just record those first few videos. That is the hardest thing to do. Recording those first videos is so difficult because when you start, you're going to be like, what do I do? What do I say? And you're going to be like waiting and thinking to hit record, and you won't know what to do. But that's going to stop you from creating. So just hit record, just do your best, record those first 3 videos. Like, don't worry too much about the thumbnail. Like, let YouTube pick the thumbnail. Just record it and get it out. And then what you do is you think about those 3 videos, right? You know, okay, maybe this topic was more interesting to you, or maybe this other topic you felt more knowledgeable about. And then make more videos about the topics that you enjoy. And then as time goes on, slowly improve the videos, right? Maybe you realize, oh, you need more lighting on your face, so you should stand in front of a window, and then record your video in front of a window. And then you can be like, oh, okay, audio, you want to talk a little bit more louder than usual. Like, you don't want to talk to the YouTube video like this. You want to talk like this in a YouTube video. You want to extend your voice a little bit more, right? It's a little unnatural, but you want to project your voice more. And then as time goes on, just keep building on that, right? But the most important thing is to just start. That is the hardest thing. Like, trust me, it's so hard to hit that record button and record those first 3 videos. But like, I have a video on my YouTube channel. If you go to my page, I think I have 2 videos. And the first one is how to create your first self-improvement YouTube video. And what I did was I just grabbed my phone and I talked into it and made that video during one of these live streams. And then I just uploaded it. And then I just used a thumbnail that YouTube used. And all I did was I introduced myself. I'm like, hi, my name is Derek. I wanted to create a self-improvement YouTube video. This is going to be my first video on my channel. I'm going to be talking about fitness, working out, the benefits of cold showers, and intermittent fasting. And it was kind of just like that, like a quick 2-minute video. And you get that done, you upload it, you post it, and then you move on. And then once you do that, it becomes so much easier to get in the habit of just getting your phone and recording and just keep going. And then I think if you look at my channel, I have a second video titled how to make like your second self-improvement YouTube video. And then you just go from there. And once you get that momentum going, it's honestly like an amazing thing. I'm so happy I started this YouTube channel because it's so much fun. It's so much fun, dude. It's just like just talking about ideas and sharing concepts that I'm passionate about. It just makes me so happy. So whenever I come across anyone who is thinking about starting a self-improvement YouTube channel, or just like a YouTube channel in general, like, yes, do it. Create the channel, record the video. Like, yes. It's such a awesome and fun hobby to do that if you honestly love it, it could change your life, right? So hopefully that helped in some way. So anyways, let's wrap this stream up. That's a perfect note to wrap the stream up on. Thanks guys for watching the stream. Let's schedule the next one for 2 weeks from now. So we'll do October 29th. So if you are watching this, you haven't subscribed to the channel, hit subscribe. If you want to find out when I go live or post any of these live streams, hit that like little bell button. It's like this weird bell notification button YouTube has. And then you'll see a notification on your phone when I do go live or post a video. So for everyone that made it, Forrest, appreciate you like always. Thanks for coming by. Martin, great questions today, bro. Red, love catching up with you. Kevin, Brian, and anyone else who is watching this stream or is watching the replay of the stream. Thank you guys. I love doing this and I don't consider stopping anytime soon. So have a great weekend and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. See you guys. And watch House of the Dragon. That's awesome.